one of the biggest things you're seeing on the runway this year is the resurgence of supermodels looks from the early 90s, like Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, Chrissy Charlington, when models were making way too much money. Anyway, one of the things, whenever you bring a look back, you always want to think about is you want to do it in a more modern way. So the look of that time was all matte, no shimmer, very defined features. One of the great things about it is you celebrated each girl's own personal beauty. So back then, all the models had a very specific look. Linda looked like herself. Chrissy looked like herself. So this look is about taking Peyton and making her look the most beautiful Peyton she can look. Anytime you're doing a makeup tutorial on how to do your makeup, you want to include what is going to make you look your best and your prettiest, and always consider yourself, even though when you're working within a trend. So we always want to keep that in mind. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a matte cream, because y'all know how much I love to layer my creams and my powders. And I'm going to take my number 22 brush, and I'm going to apply that matte cream, close your eyes for me, to her lid. What this is going to do is it's going to allow my highlight on my lid to really pop to help give her eye shape. Just a nice smooth layer. And you'll notice the number 22 brush has a lot of density to it, so it gives you the kind of pliability and stiffness that you need to apply a cream. Once again, just to the lid. A lot of celebrities are doing this. For celebrity makeup, you always, and that's what really something like this would really work well for. It's about the celebrity. Anytime I'm working with a celebrity, no matter who it is, they want to look like themselves. They just want to look like the most beautiful version of themselves. And this look definitely is all about, as I said, bringing out your personal beauty. Now I'm going to go back over it with a very pale, almost white matte shadow for my highlight. I'm technically actually mixing together a pale beige and a white. And I'm kind of patting it on, because you know when you pat it on, you get more color. But what you will notice is you're not seeing a lot of color, and that's kind of what this look is about. It's about creating shape with very skin tone type shades. You're going to see as we keep going how all the shades are going to be just different versions of a skin tone type shade. Very brown, beigey. But you're going to really see her shape of her face and her eye shape by doing it this way. Then just do a little bit of your beige matte on the brow bone. You know, right now I really prefer the brow bone to be not quite as highlighted as the lid. As many of you know, I like to curl my lashes and do my first layer of mascara at this point. Look down for me. There you go. Remember, when you're curling multiple times, walking out to the ends of the lash, you want to curl, not a crimp. Look at me for a sec. Making sure they're nice and evenly curled. I'm going to go ahead and use my detailed eyelash curler to get the corners. Look down. All of y'all know how eyelash obsessed I am. Okay, curled. Now we're going to do our first layer of mascara. Look down. Now, I didn't bend this on purpose. It happened on accident. Cindy Crawford always makes me bend it whenever I work with her, because it's one of her things. But I think it scrapes the mascara out unevenly. Look at me. Okay. Okay, now normally I would have already done her brows, but somehow I forgot. So let's just give her brows. Now, she's got nice full brows naturally, and I want them to look very natural anyway, so I'm just going to choose to use shadow and a brush, brow powder and a brush. So I'm taking my number 1, nice stiff angled brush, just doing little feathery hair-like strokes. You see how it's just giving us a nice subtle brow. Okay, now we have our first layer of mascara and our highlight shade on. Now we're going to add our mid-tone. Remember, it's going to be matte, but of course our mid-tone's always matte. Just taking in a nice taupe, and we're going to follow the crease of her eye, her natural eye socket. Just going to start to make shape. Oh, sorry. Once again, using the number 11 brush, following the eye socket, trying to create that shape. Then we're going to take our number 28 brush, the one that's always clean, and blend it out. And layer this shade until you get the depth that you want. A little bit on the outside corner of the eye. Blending it out. Close. Then grabbing our number 30 and adding just a little more mid-tone on that lid. Now, since we want a lot of definition at the lash line, but we don't want a heavy line, I'm going to open and look down, push some color into the lash line using my number 41 brush. Look down. You can see how it's starting to create definition in our lash line, really starting to give you that shape. All right, now I'm going to take my number 30 brush again, and I'm going to start with a matte brown shadow to start really creating my final bit of definition. Now remember, you're going to lay it on with your number 30 brush, and then you're going to blend it out with your clean number 28, because you only want to lay this color right where you want the intensity to lie. And then you can take and blend it out. Once again, patting the color on where I want it to be the most intense. Blending it out. Now I want some definition at the lash line, more than just pushing the color. So I'm going to take my number 18 brush, and I'm going to take a matte, deep brown shadow, open and look down, and I'm going to line. Just laying it right at the lash line. Look straight ahead. Okay. Now I've done a layer of mascara, and I'm going to take my number 18 brush again and a little bit more of that dark brown shadow, and I'm just going to lay it right at the base of the lash line and just pull up. Just gives me a little more definition. Open. A little more drama. Okay, now we're going to get rid of everything that we've dropped, dripped, and dumped. Just taking a little bit of eye cream and cleaning up all that shadow. You can see everything that it gets off for you. So that's stuff that would have been sitting on your cheek. She would have been a dirty girl. Okay, now we'll foundation and conceal the lower half of the face. And because you're the only person in this room paler than me, which is a good thing. concern for your parents. Because I have a feeling that people always think you're older than you are. Look up. Doing some concealing. She didn't have any definite dark circles, so I'm just concealing the general area that was a little darker. I am going to take my number 53 brush, which is why it's a pointed, rounded, pointed concealer brush, and do right inside where it is dark. Get those little spots. Remember, when you're doing a matte look like this, it's all about highlighting and contouring. And if we highlight those areas that we want to really add shape to the face, that's going to help us a lot. Look up for me. A little bit around the nose. Okay, now I'm going to powder using my number 76 brush. I'm going to powder with my highlight, translucent highlight powder underneath the eye, get that brightness. Then I'm going to take my number 73 and just powder the rest of the face. Patting it into the skin more than brushing it across it right now because we want a nice matte finish. I could also do it with my puff if I wanted to. And before we're done, I may end up going back and doing some with the puff. Blending out where I'd applied the other. Now we're going to do underneath the eye. Okay, now using my number 13 brush, I'm taking my midtone, once again, look up, and I'm going right along her lower lash line for definition.
Are we getting girl noise upstairs?
Right along the lash line. Now, because we want this look to be so exact, and back in the 90s, even though I was way too young to be there, I'm going to take the darker brown for definition, and I'm going to use my number 18 brush, and I'm literally just going to push it right, look up for me, right along the lashes. Just touch it, scrub. So you get the slightest bit of definition. Remember, starting on the outside first because the first place you start gets the most color. Going all the way across. Now, I'm going to take my Now, I'm going to use my number 14 brush, grabbing the white and beige, look up, so that I can get it right in that corner. Matte highlight. Now, I'm going to go back just for extra dimension and just look down for me. Layer right over, do another layer of highlight, reinforcing that shape of the lid. And because I'm doing such a small exact place, I'm using my 14 again. Okay. Now I'm going to use my number 73 brush and a nice matte bronzer. But you may be pale enough to wear my color bronzer. And I'm going to reinforce, sorry, having a moment. Okay. Using a matte bronzer, my number 73 brush, what I want to do is add shape and dimension to the face. So I'm going to go ahead and start to contour her, kind of applying it right where I want it and then blending it out. She's a great shaped face anyway, so I don't want to not maximize her face shape. Okay, now with this, I want her lip to be minimal and very, very non-existent, but defined all at the same time. I know those are kind of oxymorons, but you can create that. But Peyton has a lot of natural color to her lips, so I'm just going to lightly conceal that color away. And you're not seeing a lot of lip liner nowadays, but with this look, I think to kind of give a nod to the 90s when it was so huge, and because I am erasing her natural lip so much, I'm going to use a lip liner. It's just going to be very skin toned. So you can see it's ever so subtle even a color. I'm taking my brush, number 80, and blending it out. Now this is the only place on the face we want some sheen. Okay, now I'm just finishing up adding mascara to the bottom lashes. Then I like to wait to the end of this look to decide whether I'm going to do it or not. But part of what makes this look really modern right now is we're going to line the inside wet tissue of her eye, look up for me, with just a little bit of a concealer pencil. And it really kind of opens that eye up. Okay, let's take her hair down. As you can see in this makeup tutorial, I really taught you how to do the look that is so hot this season. It's a nod to the supermodels of the 90s, Christy, Linda, all those great girls, but it's very doable, very wearable. And the great thing about it being all matte is you can tell that it really she still looks glowy and fresh and youthful and modern even though you're not using anything shiny.